Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am scandalous like an Ashley, and I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Pocket Jack Comics with their debut comic Guinevere and the Divinity Factory in the April issue. It's in previews. Go order it. We're technically in April, so it should be in your comic shop. Also, there on Whatnot, and go to the Pocket Jack Comics Whatnot channel. And right now, you get a $15 credit by using my coupon Andrew. And you can also get an additional 15% off some awesome cover work. So go check that stuff out. But not about that, because I have with me probably the top comic writer and publisher of the year so far, Darren Davis. So welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And we're not related with the Davis.
No, we're all one gigantic clan. We are all one gigantic clan.
That was New York too. New York based. So yeah. I'm sure there's some weirdness going on.
No, but I'm very excited because obviously you have a lot going on. I think that a lot of people did not know you prior to January. I'll be very honest.
I disagree. I created the 10th Muse comic book 20 years ago, and it was the 6th highest selling comic book, beating Batman, Superman, and we launched it at Image Comics. We had Sable from the WWE.
Yes, you did have Sable. I have that book. I have that book.
And 10th Muse is still around. So yeah, people forgot about us maybe, but we have been publishing for 20 years. We also did Legend of Isis at Image Comics. We did all the stuff with Ray Harryhausen, like Ray Harryhausen Presents, and we did. They ended up making Wrath of the Titans as a film. We worked on William Shatner's fiction books. So people forget, because when we do these biography comic books, people think that, no, we haven't done, we did Logan's Run for about 5 years. So, and Adam West, Misadventures of Adam West, all the fun stuff, lots of fiction.
So let's actually talk a little bit about this, because I know obviously you from January. I know obviously a little bit of 10th Muse. And I forgot a little bit because obviously things get all messed up in comics. But it's one of those things where, you've done a lot. And so what is Tidal Waves? I think it was something before Tidal Waves. It morphed into something else. There's potentially other divisions, because that's the other thing too, is that sometimes names change.
Yeah.
Sometimes companies evolve. And so that's why people say, I remember Darren Davis. Right. I thought he was at a different company, and now he's at this company.
And then Blue Water turned into Storm, and then Storm turned into Stormfront, and yeah, so that was a whole mess. So honestly, we started at Image Comics as Tidal Wave Studio or Tidal Wave Productions, and we ended up leaving Image, and then we went to Avatar, and Avatar was a nightmare. And we brought it's so bad. And so we ended up deciding to self-publish. And so we came up with Blue Water Productions. And so we were Blue Water Productions for such a long time. And then we got a TV show deal for Insane Jane that we ended up having to change the name really quick, because otherwise they wouldn't have made it. And because there was already a Blue Water Productions. And so we wouldn't be able to have like our name on it. And so stupidly, I had a side business when I was doing rep work with, like, when I was representing all like the top artists in the industry, doing the PCM covers, doing all the stuff. And it was called Stormfront Entertainment. And so stupid me, my Stormfront Entertainment was, and this is being super blunt, my Stormfront Entertainment was like in the early 90s. I was working with Alex Sinclair. We were doing DVD menu design. And so I had an LLC for that. So I just changed it quickly to Stormfront Entertainment, not knowing that it was a white supremacist group. So everybody, including Bleeding Cool, called me a white supremacist, all this stuff. They called me a Nazi, especially weird because I'm Jewish. So it just that didn't even make sense. So I quickly changed it to just Storm, and Storm was not a strong enough name. And it's really hard to do a Google search for Storm Comics and not have X-Men Storm come up. So then I just, Tidal Wave was a big thing back in the, early 2000s, and we just went right back to that. So that's the drama behind it.
Yeah, because it's interesting because you've done a lot of stuff, and you've done a bunch of stuff in comics, and then you did a bunch of biography stuff, and it's kind of an interesting situation because you have done, I guess, the Top Cow sci-fi type book stuff, and
We
then now you're in
yeah. When we first launched an Image, we used to be called the Mini Top Cow. And fun story is the 10th Muse has a lightning bolt on her face, which you can kind of see there. And so because this comic book did so well when it launched, I got called into Top Cow's offices. And they said, well, this looks too much like Velocity, and so we might sue. And then I pulled out Ripclaw and I go, okay, so who's this? And then they kind of just shut up. So, because Ripclaw, Wolverine, all that stuff. So, yeah, that was. So we're just producing this now. It's called the Guide to Tidal Wave Universe. Look how thick this is. We have done so many books and characters and all this type of stuff. This is 20 years. So, but no biographies in this one.
So, I mean, it's just fascinating, and I love comic history. I love, the history of comics. I really enjoy going all the way back. I'm a big manga guy, and I enjoy the 1950s manga too. But I love 90s. I love the 90s. I think the best run of Batman was in the 90s.
Norm Breyfogle was one of my favorite artists ever.
Yeah, no, I love his work. I think Danny O'Neill as editor on Batman. I think Nightfall was brilliant in a lot of ways. And I think that it's arguably the best run. I think, what was it, from 93 to like 2000 was an unbelievable 7 years of Batman. You had Superman going on.
Yep.
Death of Superman was at the same time. And then Marvel was on the brink of collapsing, but we don't have to talk about that too much.
That's how I got my start into comic books. I got hired by Marvel, and then they had a hiring freeze and filed Chapter 11, so I never got hired because I was going to do sales for them. And then DC or Wildstorm ended up picking me up and giving me a job, and I worked through while they transitioned into DC Comics, doing getting them jobs inside and outside of comic books. So doing custom work, like magazines and all that type of stuff. And so that's why when IDW started, I ended up I was offered a position to be a partner in it, because all the people like Ted Adams and Chris Saprisco, they're all doing the same job that I was doing at Wildstorm, which was consumer products. And so we ended up, they were ready to start IDW, and I didn't want to invest $10,000. And so I just said, oh, I'll just do my DVD stuff through you guys, and I'll do my custom stuff through you guys. And so still friends with them, but and it's ironic that I'm now publishing comic books.
Yeah, no, let's get into this, because obviously I want to get into the stuff that's going on with you right now, because that's what's interesting. Because obviously you've been doing biography books. I think you did Nikki Haley, you did Ron DeSantis, I think you did Dolly Parton, I think you've done a few other people. You did Stormy Daniels.
Yeah,
it was hilarious. I thought that was funny. I really thought that was funny. Oh, I love the concept of that.
You know how that actually happened? So so this is Stormy Daniels Space Force. I have the omnibus here. So I have everything just right at my viewpoint. So it's a great book. It's Stormy Daniels. It's basically Star Trek meets Barbarella meets Stripperella. And so what happened is we did a biography on Stormy Daniels years ago, and right when all the Trump stuff was coming, because we thought she had a good story, so we told her story in comic book form. This is right, I believe, at the start of the pandemic, or actually a little bit before that. And so the comic book comes out, and then we get a call from her manager, basically threatening me, saying, you better not release this, and blah, 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 and just literally chewing me out at 7 a.m. I was freaked out. I called my manager. I'm like, you need to deal with this. And so she called them. And then later that night, I get a call from Michael Avenatti, who was Stormy Daniels' lawyer and who is now in jail, basically going, "Hey, Darren, I want to do you can't do this." And blah. I'm like, "Yes, I can. It's within my First Amendment rights. I can do this." And then I said, and I kind of just like threw it back at him. And I said, "You know what? Maybe we could do a comic book on you," because at that point he wanted to run for president. And we do a political power series where it's all about politics. And he's like, "Really? Wow, okay." So I had my artist draw something up really quick, gave it to him the next day, never heard from them again. Then probably 2 years later, I get a call from the same manager saying, "You know what? Stormy actually likes you. You didn't really take advantage of her. She really liked the story that you told. We want to be part of this comic book." And I said, "Well, we already did it." So I go, "Maybe we can update it, change it a little bit." And she said she would edit it. And so then we ended up releasing it as a female force series edition. And then from there, I got to meet her and talk to her. And I go, "I don't want to stop working with you. Let's do a book together." And then that's when we came up with Stormy Daniels Space Force. So
let's actually talk about this, because I've read some of the biography stuff, haven't read all of it. But I think you give a relatively fair depiction of, certain people. I haven't read all of it, so I can't fully say that you cover everything 100% fair. I didn't read Nikki Haley's, biography that you did. So I don't know. I have no comment on that. But I read the Michael Jordan one that's coming. I read the Taylor Swift. I read Ruth Handler. I think, I don't know if that one was released yet.
Yeah, the Barbie one. Yeah.
And then I read Dolly Parton, and I thought you did a relatively fair job, because their lives aren't perfect. I mean, but that's something that I think is interesting. So what is that like? Because you're telling her story, and again, Stormy Daniels isn't perfect,
right?
It's the imagination. But what is that like for you to kind of say, I have to call a ball, and a strike a strike? So I think that's a problem right now in comics, especially in biographies.
I think, I have Michael Frisell is like one of our main writers that I've worked with for over probably 10 years now. And, especially with every election cycle, going even further back, I'll kind of tell you how it all started. So we noticed that numbers were like totally slipping in our fiction books. Like we were selling Vincent Price Presents, which was selling like 800 copies. It was like dying. Nothing was doing really well. And, but I think we even did like 100 in that series, 100, comics in that series. And so we noticed that just numbers were just tanking. And so IDW ended up doing a Barack Obama and a John McCain comic book. And since we do a lot of female empowerment, like 10th Muse, Isis, Judo Girl, which they're not over sexualized or not TNA, they're more like a Wonder Woman, strong, independent woman. We thought, why don't we do a biography on Hillary Clinton and Sarah Palin, who were just as big at that point, because Hillary Clinton was running for president and Sarah Palin was tapped to be possibly vice president. And we want to tell their biographies in such a fair and honest way and unbiased, because at the end of the day, I don't want anybody to know who I vote for. I don't want to push agendas. I don't want to push any other people's agendas. So we've had politicians come and want to work with us, and we've turned them away because they're like, "Oh, we really like this." And then those two books took off for us and did really well, and it was like female force Hillary Clinton, female force Sarah Palin. Took off. I even have one like right. I can see if I can show you, but I even have like a signed Hillary Clinton right there. I have a signed Gloria Steinem, Barbara Walters up there too. But and I have a signed Sarah Palin down there too. But so they took off, and so we had to rethink the biography thing, because rock and roll comics kind of did it in the 90s and 80s and 90s, and we wanted to do a new take on it. And so, as I said, we did the Female Force series, which was the first one, and we wanted to tell it with a female empowerment angle to it. So whether you liked either woman, you do have to respect them for all their accomplishments to where they've gotten to. And so that's kind of how the Female Force thing ended up. And then we decided to jump into politics. And so, I think the first one we did was on Colin Powell. And from there, we did Barack Obama and, everybody else and whatever. And so what ended up happening is that every election cycle, to kind of go back to your question, a long way around. So every election cycle is kind of different for us. So this election cycle, it was mainly Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis were the two front runner people that we decided to do comic books on. 4 years ago, it was more Democrat heavy. And it was, we did Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, and I don't even remember. I think AOC. I think we did those. And then 4 years before that, we were doing Jeb Bush, Donald Trump, like Rand Paul, and so Chris Christie. And so it just changes each time with that. So.
Did you also feel that when you're doing politicians that, especially during an election cycle, that if there's a primary, there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of media, there's a lot of earned media as well that helps push the book?
Oh,
because,
yeah.
to be honest,
100%. I know if I'm going to do a Donald Trump or Joe Biden comic book, it's going to get picked up. Doing the Nikki Haley comic book, it got picked up by Fox News. I know when we do these market themselves. So,
I mean, because I'll be very honest, I interview certain people because I know the interview is going to market itself. And whether that makes me a sellout or a cash grabber, I don't really care. Because guess what? When that does that, and then that interview gets 2,000 views and gets me 50 subscribers on YouTube, that trickles down to everybody else.
Right. At the end of the day, it's a business, and this is the way that I choose to work and make money. And you know what? If People Magazine, Time Magazine, Entertainment Weekly are doing, biography kind of things, we're just telling them in a different demographic. My background is in entertainment. I worked at Entertainment Television, right out of college, worked there for 6 years, ended up working at Lionsgate and USA Networks. So I know my way around the media world. And so, yeah, I know if a Taylor Swift comic book, like today, I have a deal with Reuters that is announcing the Taylor Swift comic book, that the Taylor Swift, let's see if I can find it, sequel. So we just announced, so this is, the sequel. So this is the regular versions and stuff. And so I know, as I said, I know how to utilize the press and, and give them also what they want. It's kind of fun. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to do something or somebody that I am not going to be able to sleep well at night. And that gives me a perfect segue to one of the biggest controversies that we've ever had is, and I can grab this. This is worth me getting up to go grab it. Hold on.
Oh, snap.
Oh, I have this idea on my wall.
Is this the Oh, I no, then that's not. Then that's not the one. This is not the biggest controversy I was thinking about. Maybe you didn't do the one I was thinking about, but anyway.
So this is a comic book series snubs Melania Trump. So this is Fox News on a slow news day. I believe it was maybe 2 years ago, I think. A year ago, maybe. I don't even remember. So I woke up and I look at the news. I'm doing all this stuff. And then I go to Twitter and I look at Twitter and I see, comic book company snubs Melania Trump is trending. And I'm like, what idiot company is doing that? And I'm like, oh crap, that's us. I'm like, oh my God, what's that? What? Wait, what? I'm like, why? You're not snubbing Melania Trump. We do a female force series. We do not do a female empowerment. We do a female. We don't do a first ladies series. And so it was a slow news day on Fox News for some reason because it was on 4 of their programs. And my favorite one was, basically, literally, like, it was so weird because they just started showing all like the liberal comic books that we've done. And then, but nobody mentioned, okay, we've done Nancy Reagan, we've done Condoleezza Rice, we've done, Michelle Bachmann, we've done Sarah Palin, we have done Nikki Haley, all this stuff, Amy Coney Barrett. So and then my favorite one was Laura Ingraham was complaining about it on her show. And then some guy turns around, one of her co-players, they go, they did one on you. So this is after she's like slamming me for being all liberal. They were this liberal comic book company. So I ended up kind of being annoyed by it. And this is kind of one of those good presses is not all press is bad. And so I had a friend of mine help me formulate a letter to Fox News. We sent it to them and everybody and blew it out. And they ended up having to do a retraction the next day on air. And so I'm like, hey, I'm one of the only people to get a retraction from Fox.
Yeah, see, when people talk about me, I take a different message. I'm like, go ahead and talk about me. Be my guest. You're just going to make me a superstar. That's what you're going to do. But there's an incident, and two people went at it. And all I said to somebody's like, everybody saw it. I'm like, I know. And who did not look like an asshole during that? The only person in that circumstance who didn't look like an asshole was me.
Oh, good.
I looked golden. I did the best thing I could possibly do. I shutted the fuck up. That's the best thing I could have done. Because and then it just blew up, and then 2 days later in comics, it all just went away.
Yeah. Sometimes. So just to finish the Melania, and then I'll tell you the other thing too, is so the Melania Trump thing is that we didn't snub her. We just I truly, and this is not to slight her or anything, I asked people, can you name me 5 things that Melania Trump has done other than she speaks 5 languages and she's pretty? And I was like literally being honest, because she really hasn't done a ton to warrant a comic book. And so we did a Jill Biden comic book. And so that's why they're kind of comparing it. You did one on her, but not her. And I'm like, there's just not a lot of content. And I'm sure she's a good mom and she's whatever, but it just, we don't do for all first ladies. So.
No, I'm not criticizing.
But then the word, I think probably one of the worst stories that we had was the BTS Army. Is that the one? Is that?
I don't know what this is.
So BTS is the K-pop band. So they have this BTS Army. They're like huge. They're like this international huge band. K-pop. They're like top 40 here too. They don't like us. They did not like the fact that we were doing a comic book, and they literally had hundreds of thousands of people coming after me and the writer, and calling him a pedophile and all this type of stuff, and just literally making up stuff that they ended up going onto Amazon and writing like really bad reviews before the book even came out. And so we had to have those taken down. And it was so, I have not had that much aggression towards a comic book ever. And it was pretty scary too, because I ended up getting death threats. So it really wasn't, it was, and that book only came out like probably December. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, so let's actually talk about that before we get into Taylor Swift. So what is that like? Because in my experience in comics, and obviously I'm a fan and I buy and sell books,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever been threatened. I've dealt with unsavory characters. I've dealt with people who are difficult clients. I've dealt with people who are trying to pull fast ones on me, but I've never had a death threat against me. But I do know that the comic world is becoming, in my opinion, a little unhinged, might be a good way to put it. Where I think it 5 years ago, it was way more stable and people in it were way more stable. And this is just what I think.
Yeah. I think it's sometimes it can be the most unprofessional profession. It just, I had Comicsgate people come after me, and that was not fun either. And, they harassed me and that type of stuff. And once again, got death threats from that too. Just because I called out I'm not even gonna give her even attention, but one of our characters that we created, 10 years ago looks super similar to this one character that this person did. And I was kind of shocked. And I literally just asked like online, hey, did you see this? And then she just went ballistic after me and then had all her little minions and all that little stuff. And she ended up blowing up like the other way bad, I guess. I guess backlash happened to her after this because I just finally let it go. And I was just like, we have lawyers. I'm not this independent comic book company who just jumped into comic books and we're a business. We've been in business for 20 years, or 24 years. And we have lawyers, we have managers, we have agents, and all that type of stuff. We're a professional company. And so people cannot always just get away with saying whatever the hell they want either.
No, I agree. I think, and this is just my opinion, is that has happened in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Really started, I think, COVID, in my opinion, allowed a lot of people felt they could get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually swinging the other way. And I think a lot of people are going to learn a very valuable lesson that if you openly disparage somebody, it's no longer being tolerated by a lot of people. And I think there's going to be one or two, and I'm not a lawyer, but I think there's going to be one or two cases in the next 3 or 4 years where somebody in comics is going to get hit hard. And I think it's going to restabilize the industry on a professional level. I really believe that's going to come if it doesn't happen sooner. But again, that's just what I'm thinking. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to profess about being a lawyer. But I think there is going to be somebody who crosses a line, and they're going to get slammed for it.
Yeah, I would agree. I've talked to lawyers about this, and yeah, slander and libel is a thing. So
I think it's going to be less and less tolerated in this community, and it's only going to take one person. It's only going to take one person to do it. But I digress on that point because this isn't fun. This isn't the fun stuff that you've done.
No.
The fun stuff you've done is Taylor Swift.
Yes.
So how did this come about? Because that's what we all want to know.
So what people don't think, people think like, so as I said, I've been doing comic books. I've been doing the biography comic book since 2008. And so just going down the pipeline, we've done the political stuff. Then we did this Fame series, which, is like Justin Bieber and, Selena Gomez and all these like pop stars and that type of stuff. And then we also do tribute. So people that have passed and that type of stuff, like Michael Jackson and, that type of things. But then what people don't realize is that 10 years ago, I did a Taylor Swift comic book. It was called Fame Taylor Swift. And we ended up working with her people on it. She was dating a guy, or she wasn't dating. Britney Spears was dating her manager, which was Jason Tradrick. And so Taylor Swift knew about the book and all that type of stuff. We didn't have to get her rights or anything like that because once again, we're not using trademark or copywritten information. So you are free to do a biography comic on anybody you want. Sometimes we do work with the subjects because it does make it a little more fun for us. And we'll also donate a percentage to a nonprofit of their choice. We'll run ads for that nonprofit. We on the new comic books, we have heard from Taylor Swift's people, and they did not like one cover, and it was an easy switch. And we also told them that we're running because she supports a lot of like, Humane Society stuff. So we said we'd run 3 ads with the Humane Society, and they're happy. And the cover is not the cover that they didn't like is not one that you would think even was a problem. But the Eras tour that she's doing, the poster for the Eras tour, there was a Bedrock Comics did a homage to it, and it was just too close to what they considered was a trademark. And I listened to the Taylor Swift people and was like, okay, changed.
So, and the reason why I bring this up is that obviously there's Taylor Swift one, there's Travis Kelce, Fame Travis Kelce, you did.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've heard, but they're kind of a thing.
What? Hold on.
Shocking, right?
So you mean this Travis Kelce comic book that you can get on eBay right now, this special edition, that if you take the Taylor Swift one and put them together, it makes a heart? Oh my
I had
God.
no idea that
Yeah.
that was a thing.
So, yep, that's on
I
eBay.
was shocked.
So Travis Kelce has a good story, so he wanted to tell it. Taylor Swift, the second Taylor Swift story is all about her philanthropy and what she has done in the world. She is somebody that gives a lot and does a lot for her fans, and we kind of wanted to tell that aspect of her life. The first one that we did 10 years ago was literally about her childhood and how she grew up. So now the second one was kind of catching up with her. And this one, we like what we did with Dolly Parton too. We wanted to showcase her philanthropy.
Yeah, so I mean,
Thank you so much.
I love it.
Thanks. No, I appreciate it. And it's super fun. And we have new ones coming up, like Eminem, which will be coming out. And, we have Michael Jordan coming out. I'll give you an exclusive here. I'm building Rihanna right now. We're doing a Rihanna comic book, and we're doing Megan Thee Stallion. And so we have people, that we're doing, and it's fun.
So to even get into the Taylor Swift stuff even further, because I love Taylor Swift.
Sure.
I think it was great that you had all these top people on it. You had Ryan Kincaid there. You had Sha'Carri. Jamie Tindall was involved. Brian, I forget his name. Ali Garza was there. I forget Brian's last name. It's just not coming to me at the moment.
Ryan Kincaid?
No. Brian. He did the rock concert one.
Oh. Yeah.
So she's got the red guitar on, and then,
yeah.
Again, the last name's slipping me. I love his work. It's just that I can't think of his last name. Starts with like an M. And then I forgot the sixth person who did work for you, and then you had Sora Song.
Yeah. And Jamie Tindall
Jamie Tindall was there. Sora Song was there. Ryan Kincaid.
Sora Song. Sora Song's. I think hers is one of my favorite covers. I think she has such
version. Which version? She did like 3 versions.
She also has a Travis one coming too. I saw it. So I liked her cheerleader stuff. I thought it was fun to do.
I enjoyed the blue version of her cheerleader stuff. I thought the Chiefs version was cool too, but I actually like the blue version more, to be honest.
Because it matches Taylor Swift's videos.
It's that, and it's also the idea that I like the blue kind of just creates more contrast for me.
Right.
Versus the red and the yellow against Taylor Swift, and it's like a celebration, her being a cheerleader. Like there's no contrast. Right. But then Sora Song did a Chiefs version as well, and that's a fun version too that I really enjoy. But yeah, no, I have a bunch of these. And they sell well for me, so I have no complaints.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room? Who she might be playing?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, I think it's a fair position.
So my pros why I think it's going to happen that she's going to play Dazzler is she's really good friends with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and she's been seen with the director, and she's been seen with all these people. So I think she's just going to do a quick cameo with it. I think the fans really want to see that. So.
I also think that movie, Deadpool 3 doesn't need it, but it could help Deadpool 3 a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And Disney needs it. If we're going to be really honest, Disney needs Deadpool 3 to kill it. They need Deadpool 3 to kill it for 2 reasons and only 2 reasons. This is one of their first rated R Marvel movies.
Right.
And secondly, Deadpool could be a nice lead-in for Fantastic Four and the X-Men.
Agreed. Yeah.
So they need it badly. And if she can make them another 20, 30, 40 million, it gets them that much closer to a level. Or furthermore, it just gives them that social media pop they need.
Right.
So that's why I think she's going to be in that movie, because even if they paid her $10 million to be in that movie, that's pennies for what she's going to bring. She is what Logan Paul is to WWE right now.
Yep. And here's a fun cover. I don't know if you saw this one.
I
But
did see that. I did see that one. Those sold out quick too. The foils.
no, this one is still up on eBay. I think I have 2 left.
Is that the metal?
This is the metal, yeah.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, the metal covers. So I just learned about metal stuff like in the last year, and this stuff is so cool. And it's like kind of weird to collect my own stuff. I'm like, oh, I like this. I want this. So
I have metal comics. I enjoy my metal comics.
they're so cool.
I enjoy foils and I enjoy metals.
Right.
I also enjoy like showcases. I don't know if you've seen a showcase.
Uh,
So oh man, like so a showcase, it's like thicker, almost like museum paper.
okay.
So Sean just released essentially something with Merc Mag with a showcase. Jamie and Sean released one, and it's kind of like more archival, thicker, cleaner, and they grade out better.
Oh, they do? Okay.
So the showcase might get a 9.9.
Hey, our new printer that we're using now, Greg Horn got his first, like I saw the 10 on the Taylor Swift 10. I even tried bidding on his 10 on what's on his what's not convention. So yeah, we're getting a lot of 10s, and we got a lot of 9.9s. So
I don't know though. I mean, I take the John Cena position, and Dave Portnoy had a whole discussion about pizza, and John Cena's like, you have to give out the 10, and Dave's like, but if you give out a 10, you got to reserve the 10% that really matters. So I'm not too sure if I want a lot of 10s hanging out or 9.9s hanging out in comics.
We're sorry that we print good quality.
No, it could be a 9.8.
I'm totally kidding.
It could be a 9.8. I know you're kidding. That's why I'm arguing. It could be a 9.8, but like I feel like a 9.9 or a 10, like I don't want like 900 Taylor Swift 10s hanging out.
No, I don't either. So that's why I wanted it, because I wanted the special edition that I was bidding on this thing. That's how ridiculous it was. I was bidding on my own comic that I sold to him.
That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But what is this like? Because obviously you started working with Comics Elite. They have a bunch of exclusives for this book as well. I think they had their own Source Song exclusive. I think they did the Shikari Chiefs book that sold out really quickly on Super Bowl Sunday. And so what is that like too? Because obviously Sean knows what he's doing. I had Sean on, I think 3 weeks ago.
Who's Sean? Sean.
From Comics Elite. And I stopped fucking.
Sean is we've become partners on some of this stuff. So a lot of the books that you see that are coming on our website, the Tidal Wave Publishing, we're partners on that, and we're doing this together. He made kind of a snarky comment on Facebook, and like when we had this Taylor Swift comic book came out, and 4 or 5 people reached out to me and said, you should see this. And so I took a couple days instead of responding, and I just wrote him a text. I'm like, hey, saw what you said. If you want to talk, I can teach you how to do this or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And it turned into this amazing partnership, friendship. He has taught me how to do, variants, how to get all these other people like Greg Horn to do variants with us. We have some big, gigantic people coming out soon that I can't mention, that I'm just so excited, that are like top. And, it's all because, Sean kind of, in a weird way, just like you were saying, people forgot about me and all that type of stuff. And I think there are times when I was so burnt out in what I was doing. And every once in a while, there's somebody like a Sean that comes along, and he just reinvigorates you and gets your sparks going again. And there's a guy from JJ's Comics as well. And these 2 people just like mentored me in this new world of variants, which I've done and I didn't understand, but now it's a main part of our business plan. So
did you also feel that with variants, it has changed? Because the way I view it is that I plan a lot of variants in eBay, and I buy and I target, and sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong. Without a doubt, I'm sure without a doubt, there's things you get right. Even still, I'm sure there's things Sean gets right a lot, but he gets things wrong too. Things happen because it's complicated. It's like stock investing. It's like baseball card hunting. You know, if you bat 300, you're going to do just fine. You get into the Hall of Fame if you bat 300, everybody. I want to bat more than 300. I think a lot of people do. But the point is that I feel that this has gotten really complicated in the last 10 years. I also feel like it goes through cycles.
It's a totally different world that I didn't understand when probably even up to 6 months ago. I didn't understand this at all. I was like, wait, what? And this is where I kind of sort of have a little bit of a problem with it is I think people that are printing the same book on top of just so people can buy the cover, and it's the same book every issue, but it's a different.
You can say who it is. You can say who it is.
It's just stuff that I've seen. You know, I see stuff out there, and you're just like, and I've had people come to me and say, I have this naked zombie character. Do you have a zombie book? And I'm like, okay. And I did a couple of those, which I'm not proud of. And because that was like my first real stint into it, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was like super undercharging and all that stuff. But I was just like, oh, somebody likes me kind of thing. And, you know, because my job is, as weird as it is, my job is very lonely. I do work from home. My Facebook, the people I work with, all the artists and the writers, I don't talk to unless online or that type of stuff. So it is kind of lonely. And, you know, doing something like this is fun. So, but now having Sean and this JJ guy, you know, mentoring me and talking to you like a couple times a week and that type of stuff. So,
because I could tell you my issue with variants is that I think that some of this stuff gets really pricey. I think also sometimes a cover can get way out of hand. I also don't like the fact that, you know, somebody's printing 5,000 copies of a variant, or, you know, I mean, the Shikari stuff is a different beast collectively, where 1,000 on a Shikari is not a large number given the demand for it. And also the fact that you're not printing 1,000 of the medals. You're printing 1,000 of this one, which I think is the trade dress. And it doesn't say foil on it. I want to make that crystal clear. But it's the trade dress. Meaning everybody can get one of those for the most part. And it's a $20 book.
Except for me. I don't even have them yet. I don't even have the first one yet.
So my point though that I'm getting at, and where I'm going with this, is that I don't have so much a problem with that. I have a problem though when, you know, somebody's just printing a lot of a variant and it loses its value. Or when somebody's printing, like if you were to print 20 variations of this book, that to me is too far. I think you have 2 versions of the metal, 2 of the foil, and then basically you have a version of every cover and a trade dress of every cover. And there's 3 versions of that book?
We don't call it a virgin with the Taylor Swift one, because and any of the celebrities.
I wasn't calling it a virgin. I was calling
it no. I'm just saying the virgin. We don't call them virgin ones. We actually made a conscious thing with all the celebrity books that we don't want to call them virgin titles. We actually call them like no logos and, you know, that type of thing. And it just is a weird.
Use the word skew. We could use the word skew.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's like we have trade dress, and then so just for some reason that's one of the things that Sean and I came up with, because, you know, like it's just fun. So
I mean, I'll be honest. I left interviewing. So every year I don't interview from Thanksgiving to the New Year. I just take a month off. And this year I leave for 5 weeks, and everybody starts using paper copies, foil copies, metal comics. And I'm like, guys, it's just a regular edition. It's a foil. It's a metal. It's a version of the book. It's an art version of the book. Like, when did all these people start coming up with different terms? I'm like, I was gone for 5 weeks. It's like the song about the Pretenders going back to Ohio, my city was gone. Like, that's how it feels to me. I leave for 5 weeks, and this is what happens.
That's funny. So who do you think we should do next? We always take suggestions, and that's that's how the Jordan book came.
I'll tell you who you should do next that I would like. So there's two. Caitlin Clark.
We just talked about her yesterday. Let's put it that way.
But Kobe Bryant, if you didn't do Kobe yet.
We have both of those actually in the works. Michael Frizzell has those on his list to write.
because those two would be cool. And then, yeah, I'll throw a crazier one out there. Conor McGregor would be wild.
That one has come across us, but we
It'd be tricky. It'd be tricky.
Yeah, we haven't done him. Yeah, he's any of the UFC, WWE kind of things get a little trickier. So, but now that he's acting, who knows? I don't know what we're gonna.
He could be interesting. I mean, if you already did Kelsey, you should do the other Kelsey.
The only problem with it is he just retired, so I'm like, and then we probably will be doing.
Sorry, let me explain why you should do Jason Kelsey. There's this scene that you have to put in the book of him just drowning a 6-pack, watching his brother play.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, that's the cover. That's the cover. Is that right there? Oh, put that in a foil. Oh my God, you could have a field day.
Make the beer can just spot foil it.
Oh my God, even better, even better.
And I can get advertising from the beer company. Here's the can. We've done that before. We've done product placement and stuff.
The amount of money that you can make. Oh, you could do so much with that. You could do so much. You just kickstart that cover alone.
We have talked about doing Kickstarters for these, but then I did Kickstarter when it first started, and I worked with a young adult novelist, best-selling New York Times bestseller, and it just did not do anything. And I just got so burnt on doing a Kickstarter.
So let me ask you about this, because I can tell you how I feel about Kickstarter. I love Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting really burned out as a consumer on Kickstarter because I'm owed right now. I've backed like 130 campaigns. I'm owed like $30.
Oh.
They're all 8 months or longer in delinquencies. And you've had my money for probably a year, and I want my product. I'm sorry. I paid for a book or a novel or a graphic novel or a service or a toy, whatever it is, and you are a year late from when the campaign started to ending, telling me the book was supposed to be here, and now we're a year later. Where's the book?
I get it.
And that you're a week late sometimes on shipping, Tidal Wave and Comics Elite. I'm okay with you guys being a week late. That's not late where you're like, oh man, the books were just printed yesterday. Sorry, buddy, we're a week or two late. That's fine, because guess what? That's 6 weeks. There's a big difference between 6 weeks and a year.
Right.
The difference is 46 weeks.
Oh, no, I 100% agree. 90% of the stuff that I do or have solicited or put out there is done. As I said, I'm working on the Rihanna book, and that doesn't come out, I think, till July or something like that. I literally have books on my schedule for March of next year. So, I'm a big opponent of staying on time. I think it's because I got my first start, as I said, working at DC, and, and also just being in the business world, if you're going to put something out there, have it done. So, don't tease something and then, so yeah.
I also think that Kickstarter has gotten away from its mission, where the issue of Kickstarter is that, and look, things evolve, and I'm not going to go beat somebody up for evolving with the times, but it's to kickstart your project. Meaning that you should be on Kickstarter when you can't do this yourself. And now what's happening is that people have money and they have big backings, and they say this is the easiest and fastest way how to go direct to a consumer. And you have major companies on Kickstarter when they can legitimately do this themselves and they don't need to be there.
I have seen those, and you just kind of like look at it, even just as a fan, I'm like looking at it going, why are you doing this? Like legendary comics, which, who I'm not a fan of anyway, because Legendary did Wrath of the Titans, the movie, which I ended up getting screwed on. So they stole our movie from us. There's your so there's another.
This is how I view it, right? So
What?
it's just Boom. This is how I view it. Boom does Power Rangers, and they'll do what, like 6 million to 10 million with it. I get it. You're doing the graphic novel. I'm not gonna tell you you can't be here, but I'm kind of saying, Boom, you should have the money to do this without Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I get that you're doing it, and I understand why, because there's a lot of money here. You get to do a lot of fun perks, a lot of fun items, a lot of, you could do jackets. They do jackets. They do like limited edition jackets. Like this is, if you're a Power Rangers fan, I mean, it's great for you and you love the book, and apparently it's working. But I'm also saying to myself, like, but why are you here? What there's something wrong with this on a indie level.
I collect Power Rangers. No, I'm kidding. I collect the people. I'm friends with like a lot of them because at conventions you get to meet them. I was actually married by the yellow Power Ranger from Wild Force.
Look at you name dropping.
Hey,
didn't somebody walk you down your wedding too at your wedding?
Debbie Gibson.
Yes, Debbie Gibson. Well, I read that. I was like,
that's another New Yorker. Yeah, I know.
Amazing.
Pop Stars and Power Rangers. That's what I promised.
It's whatever. I have no friends in the industry. It's all right. I mean, I have friends who are porn stars, but that's not the point here.
Is porn star a real thing now? Is there really porn stars?
I mean, she thinks she's a star, and I think she's a star, and she does porn. So, I mean, I'm sorry, it's just too easy. Oh my God, I mean, it's funny. I mean, this is like old school, porn stars. Back when OnlyFans and Streammate wasn't around.
Right.
Boy, times have changed. That goddamn internet. Before it used to be that you needed to wait till you were at least 16. Maybe you give the guy in the video store like $5 that he lets you and your friends look at the stuff and doesn't leave you alone because he doesn't want to be there and he knows that it's a shady video store and he's like, oh guys, I'll lend this to you, but it's gonna cost you an extra $5. Like, here you go, here's a 10. Don't tell my mom. And
it's not your Blockbuster.
Yes, exactly. It's much better than Blockbuster. No. But I digress. But yeah, no, I would enjoy Kobe. I would enjoy Caitlin Clark. I would enjoy Angel Reese. I think Angel Reese would be fun.
Don't have that one on the schedule yet, but the other two definitely. So I think somebody's dropping something at C2E2 with Kobe on it.
Oh, that could be cool. That could be fun.
Epic Nation is doing something.
No. I love Kobe. It's way too soon. But it is what it is. But I mean, and then at some point, LeBron's story isn't done yet. But when he's done, without a doubt,
you can buy his comic book now.
What do you mean?
I did a LeBron James comic book.
You do have one?
Yeah, we did it a couple years ago.
I did not know that.
We did it about 4 or 5 years ago, when he just became a Laker. And I'm going to give a nod to my brother here. My brother just passed away 2 months ago. And that was the last comic book he wrote. So he was actually a comic book writer. He was supposed to always be the writer in the family. And I ended up becoming known for writing. And so I'd always have him write some books. And, we co-wrote, Wrath of the Titans together. We co-wrote or co-created Dorian Gray, a new version of it. And then we also, as I said, he did the LeBron as the last one. So
that's crazy. I mean, LeBron is interesting. And then at some point you have to write the sequel when he plays with his kid.
Exactly. There's always sequels coming. We're doing a Beyonce sequel, Taylor Swift sequel, Dolly Parton sequel, because sometimes, a lot of these times these books are evergreen. Like we did a Selena Gomez 20 years or 10 years ago. It's time to kind of update it. She's still super popular.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, look, I love evergreen content. I've learned a very valuable lesson that there are certain interviews that every year that I do, And there's interviews that I've done 10 years ago that are still relevant.
Mm-hmm. That's why I try not to do people like, as mean as it sounds, Victoria Justice. Do you know who she is?
I don't.
Exactly. So she was one of the Disney Nickelodeon people, and she was like white hot for like 2 minutes and then not anymore. Like Cody Simpson. You know, we used to just go like, okay, well, who's the Teen Beat person? Let's do those. And we want to do people that are evergreen now, or their stories are going to last a lot longer.
Yeah, I'll throw a name out there for baseball. Derek Jeter is still golden.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge is going to be golden. You know, Julio Rodriguez, if he performs and he wins a World Series,
Mm-hmm.
or he, hits enough home runs, all of a sudden he's going to be golden. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to be golden. So there's certain people in baseball that are golden. Hopefully Pete Alonso, I'm a New York Mets fan, will be golden.
Right.
Meaning that their brand, even after their time is done in baseball, will be forever. Tom Brady's a good example of that. Tom Brady is golden. Whether you like Tom Brady or you don't,
right?
Nobody ever thinks Tom Brady is a horrible human being. Tom Brady is relevant because he's the greatest of all time.
Right. Some people, like if you look at the Michael Jordan book, the problem with sports is logos, and we can't use a Mets logo, or we can't use different things. And there's not one logo in this book. And even the Nike swoosh, we didn't do. We did a Nike book. We did Phil Knight, the guy that is behind Nike. So we did a comic book on him. But yeah, we like Travis Kelce. It's really hard to do the sports people without, their logos or anything like that. But we make it work. Baseball is a little trickier because of the hats and stuff. So
yeah. It's definitely trickier for sure. I mean, look, I can tell you the hottest thing in baseball is Ohtani right now.
Yeah.
And at $70 million a year. Like, how did we get there? That's the only question I have. And you want to hear the crazy part? He's worth every penny of it. But the real story of the Ohtani, which is the sequel, is his gambler who stole 16.
I was just gonna say, you want to bet that it's worth that much? I'm kidding.
I mean, maybe it's worth a little less. I'm a big card collector. Topps not as much, but I was really hoping for Ohtani's gambler card. I was really hoping for it. I had my fingers crossed. They didn't deliver, but they did do a solar eclipse card, which is ridiculously funny. They did an eclipse. They did a card of this solar eclipse, which I thought was the funniest thing ever.
Did you get it?
I got it, and I sold 17 of them.
Wasn't there a Bernie Sanders one too?
I don't know if there was a Bernie Sanders one. They did a Mike Pence one with the flag.
I think they did the Bernie Sanders sitting when he's like all grumpy, kind of there.
All I know is that I meme that thing so much, and
Unknown Comics did an exclusive with us for the Bernie Sanders one with him sitting like that. So
I don't want everybody to hear the crack of my seltzer. It was loud. It sounded like a beer opening up. But I do want to back out of this because obviously I do want to show these really quickly. So most of these sold out. I think 5 out of the 6 sold out of these. I think the trade dress is the only one left. The first 3 sold out within like 2 minutes, everybody. I know that a bunch of these sold out already. I know the metal limited 25 versions of this one are all sold out. I think I got like the second to last 2 on them. And then following me buying the last 2, somebody else bought the last 2. And then I think a lot of these are still around. It will not say metal. Bill McKay did a great job here on this one.
I think this is one of my favorites for some reason. I probably should have watched it a long time ago, but we finally had a viewing party for the Eras tour. We watched it on Disney Plus. We had a party for it, and seeing this outfit, I love it. Like, that's my favorite cover so far. So, but the cat, and then there's other ones that are going to be dropping That's okay. I didn't know if that dropped or not. That's, I think, the cutest because, like Taylor with her cats.
I love Chazus.
Yes, that is an amazing cover. That's one of my favorites too.
He does a good job.
Yeah.
He's a very nice individual. I have a nice sketch cover worth the $275 I paid for it. Graded, beautiful book, awesome. I'm a big Van Helsing fan from Zenescope.
Oh yeah.
So I know a lot of his work from that. He did it in one of my favorite cover style, sexy
Right.
firefighter, sexy Samantha.
Okay.
So basically, the suspenders are covering her, I guess breasts is a good way to put it. And she's in front of the Flatiron building, and she's in a fire hat, and like her fire pants are sort of falling down. And he did it in that style because it's my favorite book of all time.
We haven't gotten to the nude stuff yet. That's the one thing that I've just never, and we have like the female.
Though. I mean, aren't you doing something nude soon?
Are we doing a nude comic?
I think, aren't you doing something nude soon?
Uh-uh.
I don't know. Fair enough. I'm not going to push it too hard. But
we didn't. The person that we did the nude books for were just covers that had nothing to do. That was not us. So, but yeah, we're not doing. I've talked about it. I just don't know really.
Let me ask you this, because I'll tell you how I feel. I don't have a problem with topless, right?
Right.
Topless covers don't bother me. Now, I've said this and I'll say it, and hopefully we're not going to go into too much controversy. Like, nude Taylor Swift doesn't do it for me. Yeah. That defeats the purpose of it. Right. But if you were to do topless Michael Jordan, I'm totally down with that. That's a joke. That's a joke, everybody. But like, I'll be honest. If you did topless Dolly Parton, that might make more sense.
That might get me in trouble.
I understand it, but you get where I'm going with this, though, right? Where nude Taylor Swift doesn't work,
right?
But topless Dolly Parton could. I'm not saying do it.
I'm not going to do it, but yeah, I would do. I'm talking more of the fiction stuff. We've never done. The worst thing. We did a crossover with Demon Slayer at Avatar, and they had the 10th Muse getting her ass spanked, and it wasn't nude, but it was just like over sexualized.
Sable topless. I don't think anybody's going to complain.
No, but because at the end of the day, there still is a chance that 10th Muse can be made into a movie or a TV show or something to that effect. And if I start going down that route, it changes that. Barbed Wire with Pamela Anderson, there was never nude covers back then. Would there be now? And would they make the movie? Probably not.
This is my point, though. My point about this whole position is that topless to me doesn't bother me. So I don't think there's anything wrong with topless, and I think if it's done tastefully, I don't know if it will or won't hurt somebody's ability to make something. And because I've seen things get made that had topless covers, and I've seen things that haven't had topless covers that haven't been made into movies, television shows, get options, whatever you want to call it. What bothers me is that it also depends on the subject. If you like topless Disney characters, like, to me, that's just weird.
What about topless Wonder Woman?
I don't know. I don't have a problem with topless Wonder Woman.
They're not gonna do that, but.
If DC did topless Wonder Woman, I mean, I don't really foresee a problem with it. I don't. If they did topless Quiver, that's a discussion.
Because they're also trying to also sell to kids too, and with the 10th Muse and all that type of stuff, I could see maybe doing a Stormy Daniels topless version, but like 10th Muse, probably not. Isis, probably not. It doesn't make sense for our brand either. And so that was one of the reasons too, when Sean and I decided to work together, to kind of separate some of the stuff from Comics Elite, because, I don't have a problem with nude covers or anything like that. It doesn't faze me one way or the other. I'm not the demographic to be buying them. I'm very limited on what I read too. So,
I mean, what bothers me is like the full frontal stuff.
Right.
Where, to me, I don't understand it. And I'm very confused on a fully naked woman on a comic cover with her legs fully spread out. And I'm kind of like, this is a little odd. I don't really get it. And I'll say it the way I say it is that why would I want to look at a picture when I can legitimately go on Google for the real thing?
Or your girlfriend or
exactly.
Like,
I mean, that's my point is that why would I like to me, that's just odd. And I don't get it. And I think it's kind of crude, to be honest. Now, I'm not going to say don't do it because there's nothing illegal about it.
Right.
I'm kind of like, this makes no sense to me. Like, I don't connect to it. You know, it's the same thing where, you know, I'll be honest, like, I don't necessarily, like, I enjoyed reading the Stormy Daniels book.
Right.
But like Dolly Parton, it's not that I don't not like Dolly Parton, but Dolly Parton, I'm not like, oh, I got to read this Dolly Parton book. Like, I'm like, I got to read this Taylor Swift book. Like, what's this? Like, because I like Taylor Swift.
Right. And that's who our fan bases are the fans. You know, we do a Taylor Swift comic book because we want her fans to enjoy it. You know, is it, you know, like that's kind of the point. It's like creating fandom, and you know, you're not going to pick up, you know, a Olivia Newton-John comic book, but I might. So it's like it's all about the fan.
What's the book?
Like Olivia Newton-John. So
yeah,
so I might not pick it up, but I would. So, but I'm just saying, like, that's my fandom compared to. I was not a huge Swiftie before all of this, so I just thought, you know what, she's great.
You're just saying that to protect your credibility, aren't you?
What
You're just saying that to protect your credibility.
Of course. No, I like her music. I think it's fine. I like pop music, but I like other music better. I like Olivia Newton-John is better to me.
So many things I could say. I could say a lot of things that could be offensive right now.
Hey, Olivia, you know, we got to do work with her before she passed on a comic book. You know, if you really consider what the 10th Muse, my main fiction book is, it's about the muses, Greek mythology set in modern day world. You know, what movie was like that? Xanadu. Do you remember that movie?
I don't know if I remember this movie.
I'll show you the. Okay, so I have this actually signed by Olivia Newton-John. This was Cindy Margolis when we used her as a photo model. But yeah, it's signed by Olivia Newton-John. But Xanadu was right after Grease. Olivia Newton-John, they were trying to maximize her, and so she did this movie that tanked, but it has one of the best-selling soundtracks ever. So
I don't know this movie. I have to go look into it.
Yeah, so we did the homage to the movie poster.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, you've done everything in comics, and you're going to continue to do everything. I mean, I'm excited for the Michael Jordan stuff. I enjoyed the Barbie stuff. That was cool to read because Barbie's hot, and I love Barbie.
And the thing about Barbie too is that nobody knows that she was actually, you know, inspired by a sex doll. You know, when you know, Ruth Handler decided to go to Germany and go buy this doll and said, "Oh, I can make this for kids." So
I enjoy Barbie. I think Barbie is fun. It's Barbie and Hot Wheels. I mean, what's at the basis for Mattel, right?
Right. And now they're going to be doing what Margot Robbie's doing, Monopoly and something else, some other thing she's going to be doing. That's
before she does Barbie 2 and then Barbie 3, and then we get John Cena, the Merman. It's great.
Yeah, I for some reason I think they're going to stick with not doing another Barbie as much as they said they told the story and it's kind of done. I get money changes things, but I don't.
They will do Barbie 2 if all of a sudden the demand for Barbie 1 is continuously spiking up, and it's a cash cow, and that they know that Barbie 2, even if it does only half of what Barbie 1 did or Barbie did, it will still benefit Barbie 1 because money does change everything without a doubt. But it's the reason why Kickstarters are why people are going to Kickstarter and businesses like Boom are in there, because when you're able to raise $10 million in 30 days, it's hard to say no.
Right.
I mean, it's just the reality of it. Again, and if people were to say, "I'll give you $10,000 a month, but I need you to do 40 interviews a month," I'm like, I'm sold. Um, I am sold, everybody. I can be bought. I can be bought, and then I can be rebought, and then I could be rebought again. But I probably would be miserable, but it's nonetheless.
But you'd be in the Benjamins.
Yeah, I would be. I would be. Oh my God. Actually, I know exactly how I'd pull it off too. I would just have no sleep. I'd have no sleep. You just see me just like this. And the next question. But I digress. I do want to, before I let you get out of here, because I occupied a lot of your time, which I truly appreciate.
Thank you for reaching out.
I mean, trust me, I was expecting a no. I was expecting a no, which I would have been perfectly fine, but I decided to give it a good college try.
I'm I'm probably the easiest person to interview because sometimes I drink and I'll have like a cocktail while I do them. I used to do it like with crypto comics all the time. I'm like, screw this. I'm just gonna have cocktails. But I have, I'll answer anything. People might not like the answer, but I will always answer anything. And there's nothing really out there enough to make me uncomfortable. I can always say, I don't want to answer that, or I'll do this. But I am pretty much, what you see is what you get. And I think a lot of people take that the wrong way.
Oh, look, I'm very politically smart, in which that I don't like to talk about certain things, and I change topics. And it's normal topics that the people also don't want to talk about.
Right.
There's like 5 topics that everybody doesn't want to talk about. Especially if you were at the club and Derek Jeter stole your girlfriend, you might be a little sensitive about that topic. No. Did it happen to me? It happened to a friend. A friend.
Yeah.
No. The reason why I bring it up in the way I said what I said is that I reach out to a lot of people, and I always go into every single ask is the worst thing that's going to happen to me is a no. Expect a no, because if you get a yes, you're setting yourself up to be on an upward trajectory, because if you expect a yes and you get a no, you're on a downward trajectory. And so, because again, while I've been interviewing for 10 years, that's just it. I've been interviewing for 10 years.
Right.
As very independent, no network, building very slowly. And it took a long time. It took me about 8 years to feel like I'm even good. Not great, good. And it's going to be another 10 before I even consider myself to be great at this.
Do you get your own talk show? Like at CBS or something?
No, I don't even want that either. I don't want that either. I am not talk host show material. I don't want to play by their rules. I think that a lot of the rules on media are really dumb right now. And I don't think we're in a good place, because I think people do not know how to talk.
That's why I work. That's why I don't work for anybody else. I've never wanted to write for DC or Marvel. Because I've written some pretty big things and done some pretty big things. And, I ended up getting let go from DC Comics because they couldn't really figure out what to do with me when they mushed us all together. And they ended up, because it was Wildstorm 2, they ended up asking me if I wanted to edit Star Trek books in San Diego, and I wasn't ready to move. And I was like, screw that. I don't want to edit books. And now look at me now. I was editing William Shatner's Tech War like 10 years ago. And so I did it again.
2 things. There's only 2 things I want to write. And I've said this before. I want to write Teen Titans West.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Teen Titans. So
I want to do it my way, though. I want to do them out in California, and I want to do the Teen Titans, and I want to have a Kardashian like element to it, where it's not a reality show, but it's Hollywood Teen Titans.
Well, didn't they kind of do that in the Young Justice? They kind of did that.
They did that a little bit, yeah. And I enjoyed that, but like I want to take it to like they're like 21-ish. So they're not Justice League material yet.
They're in the real world.
They're in
real world Teen Titans.
your real world Teen Titans, but they're also in the rich and preppy. So their villains are rich and preppy. So you're dealing with rich and preppy superheroes, but you also are in DC. But it would be DC Black. So there's stuff that happens where you have Titans, Teen Titans on the East Coast with Robin and Starfire and them and what they're doing, but you have Teen Titans West in San Francisco.
Right.
And I think that could be just such an interesting 6-issue position. And that's all I want to do. And I would do it for free. Because I have the idea for it. And I think it'd be a blast. But again, it's in DC Black Label. Right. So you can do whatever you want, but you could have a lot of fun with characters like Bumblebee and a bunch of characters who are in the Teen Titans, but don't fit into the Teen Titans.
Right.
And the the other company that I would ever want to write for would be WWE. I want to write television for them.
Right.
Because I would love to book some matches and some promos and oh my God, I have a field day with NXT. I'd have a field day. I'd move down to Florida for that.
Nice.
For like 2 years. Oh my God, I would book the shit out of NXT. Oh my God. I would take such a pay cut too. I would take such a pay cut to do it because it would be so amazing.
But you would do the Teen Titans for free, but you wouldn't do the you wouldn't do the.
I would do it for free too to some degree. Let me put it this way: if I had to be down in Florida 2 times a month, so if I could write from my house, because I'm in Connecticut, or I could write from Stanford, I would I would write for free for like a year from them if I could stay put. If I had to move,
right,
you can't write for free at that point. You have to make money to survive. But I digress. But that's not what I wanted to ask you. Not at all. I actually want to talk about the industry a little bit with you because I'm curious where you feel it is going. Because a lot's changed in the industry. The big two, I feel, have gone from producing comics to understanding that they have IPs, video games, movies, merchandising. And I think I've said this before and people give me shit for it. Marvel and DC are the 2 smartest companies in comics. Not because they're producing good work, but because they have IPs and they know how to merchandise the hell out of them in really, really big industries. The two big ones are video games and movies.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
People hate me when I say it too.
No, it's why we try to do stuff. It's like I've always tell people, it's always cool to do a cool comic book and stuff, but always in the back of my head, I want to create IP. Is what I'm doing. So like the Stormy Daniels Space Force, we are trying to pitch that as something for like what was a Cartoon Network, an Adult Swim, and also to do action figures and fun stuff. That's when I create fiction stuff, that's what we're thinking about. When we did a new version of Dorian Gray, which was like his great grandfather or whatever it was, and now he's this preppy, New York socialite, kind of high school student. We made it for the CW kind of thing, and to be that kind of a show where he's this arrogant dick, but he has to right the wrongs of the past. So because there's a missing Buffy the Vampire Slayer show that you just kind of want right now, and this would be a great void. And so that's why I try to think when I create something to do it as a good IP. And so yes, so DC, Marvel, great. I think the comic book now is that there's so many independents out there and everybody's fighting for different shelf space rather than, because it isn't all about comic book stores anymore. It's the Kickstarters, it's the internet, and there's only so much stuff that you do have to have some sort of a hook that makes it different. But I always think that's the way it's always been. Back, even when I was doing stuff through Diamond, you had to have some sort of a hook to make yourself stand out.
Did you also feel, because I don't know how you feel, but there's also COVID hit, and then a lot of things were shut down. So bars, entertainment, going to the movies was all shut down. So what benefited is what you can get from your house, what you get shipped to your house. Streaming benefited massively. And I think streaming still benefits because I think there's a culture that has been developed that really enjoys that I could just flip on a switch and Netflix is there.
What benefited for me from COVID is doing the Tiger King comic book. that re-energized me once again, and that thing took off. Oh my god, that we couldn't even keep that in stock. It was like insane. So yeah, my artist and my writer, they're like, so we just did the Stormy Daniels thing, and they go, do you want to hear a dumber idea? I'm like, sure. And he's like, let's do Tiger King. I'm like, okay. so we did the biography of the Tiger King, and we got like shout outs from all of them, Carol Baskin, and it was like so weird. So
Oh man, are you gonna do FTX? Are you gonna do Sam Bankman-Fried at some point?
no. I have my limits sometimes.
Because oh my god, the crypto bros would love you. Oh,
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, there's. I think it was one of those like white hot situations. Tiger King, everybody watched it because of COVID, and and it was somewhat an interesting topic. We ended up working with PETA on it as well, so that also helped us too.
So but moving even away from my whole thing and Tiger King, as much as I love Tiger King, I mean the way I feel right now about comics is that there was a position where there was more money in the economy during COVID, because not necessarily because there was more money, but because people weren't going to their jobs, so they weren't putting gas in their cars. People had more time. People also were not going on the train. And people weren't going to the bars, movies, concerts, shows, other entertainment conventions. And so all of a sudden, everybody didn't get a raise, but everybody had more capital. And as a result, a lot more people backed campaigns, Kickstarters,
Right.
movies, played more video games, consumed a lot more media, both physical and digital. And now what I think has happened is that money's gotten tighter in the economy. I think that there's more books than ever. I mean, you're not on Kickstarter, but you're competing against a bunch of people's Kickstarters. This Taylor Swift book that dropped today competes against a Kickstarter that's going on right now with some of the same artists, which is crazy. So and that's the other thing too. And I made this argument we hear about Comics Elite, is that Comics Elite with Power Hour in many ways competes against Kickstarters.
Mm-hmm.
And because guess what? You don't need to be on Kickstarter to sell your book anymore. You could be elsewhere. You could be directly selling on the internet or on eBay or wherever else you want to sell.
Right.
And so now I think there's a lot more competition. There's less money. Money is more expensive now. Inflation is a problem. Whatever you think is causing inflation, that's a different political debate that I don't want to get into. But and now what I've noticed and a bunch of people have said is that their digital sales are up, but their physical sales are down.
I have embraced. So I always try to do.
I'm just curious your thoughts on all of that.
I've always kind of embraced the different, and so when Diamond kind of screwed us over, we did a Justin Bieber graphic novel, and they ended up selling 40,000 of them, and we got like more than half of them returned because Walmart did not put them out. And so we talked to our Diamond rep. We're like, okay, where is this book? And they're like, well, that's Walmart. And you're just like, okay, well, go F you, Diamond. So we left Diamond. We're like, screw this, we're done. And so then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go. And this is right before the ebook thing just started taking off. And I'm like, let's do ebooks. So I just did a lot of ebooks. And, then we do print to order. And now we're with Ingram, which is like the #1 book distributor. And we do, like, as I said, our comic books, like this Michael Jordan thing. If you look at this and you buy this on Amazon, which is where we sell the most books, this thing alone, if you look at it, it's a cardstock cover. So this is technically, it's a little shorter than a comic book. So this is like what a comic book would be. And it's like this is the floppy kind of paper and stuff. But this is cardstock. It's gloss and it has a spine on it. So every comic book is like that for us. And it's done really well. So as I said, I'm always willing to try new and unique things. And so when Sean did come to me about all the stuff that we talked about, I was like, yeah, let's try it. So, and voila, we are here.
And
24 years, I'm still at it.
No, I feel you. Because again, I realize that a lot of stuff is changing in the industry. And, I've also realized that, I saw a lot of Bad Girl art books and books like that. I saw a lot of Zenoscope. I saw a lot of Mount Olympus. I sell a lot of stuff from Comics Elite right now. I sell several of your Taylor Swift books that do all right. Those Jamie Tyndalls are going to do fine for me. And there is a style of art that is obviously taking over, but I'm also looking for limited editions.
Right.
I like books that have a limited 50 print run or less. I like books that have a limited 15 print run. I've bought out print runs of people.
What's the point? What's inside the books?
Oh, I don't really care.
But that's where the comic book. That's where I think the comic book industry, it's kind of sucky. Is that you're buying it you're basically buying a print.
I'll basically explain. So with the Zenoscope book, I know it's in the book, but I'm also buying like an Ebas or an Elias Chazudis. That is a 200 print run, right? So it's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful cover. I love the cover art on it. And then, the story is Zenoscope number 75, right? So you're not anymore buying, because 75 is an okay issue. It's not a good issue. It's not a bad issue. It's a solid issue of Grim Fairy Tale. 75 came out maybe 2 years ago.
So you're buying a book with a new cover from 2 years ago.
But it's also a super, super cool, like silver hollow foil.
But I think that's where I just think it's kind of like ridiculous. It's like you see these books that literally have the same insides, or you don't even know what's in the insides. That's not a book. That's just collecting a cover or a print. And that
look, I bought the book for 25. I sold it for 100. I can't really complain.
But when you're saying things are wrong with the comic book industry, that's a big thing. People are not reading. You need to get kids reading. You need to do all that type of stuff.
This is the issue then, is that there's a lot of problems then. So
the Taylor Swift book literally is, for all ages. And, we've done like 100 different covers of it. But at some point, there's going to be a point where I'm going to say, you know what, let's do Taylor Swift number 2. And that's a brand new story, which we can put new covers on. I'm not going to go back to Taylor Swift number 1 and put all new covers on this, or something like like we did Dolly Parton, and we did this like Wonder Woman, George Perez, Dolly Parton one, which is super fun. But yeah, I'm not going to keep doing the same. Like, I want people to read the books too, as much as I want them to collect it. So
what Zenoscope does is that they have a collector's position, but then they're not going to, print, cover C. They're not going to put on Grim Fairy Tales, the $4 book. They're not going to redo 20 of those books. Mm-hmm. That's a variant that they're doing, and they're putting it on another book, and it's also a higher end quality book. So it's a showcase they're putting it on, and those showcases were print to order. So if only 10 people ordered it, we're talking museum archival paper.
Right.
So that's a whole different market, but I get the point.
There's out there with the museum stuff that was selling for like $250 each or whatever it was back in the day.
So I like those books because I know they're good for my store.
Right.
So I'm just thinking like a business because I know the
totally. So it just seems, as I said, it just, for me, as I do want people to read what we do, but I also do want the collectors that are really enjoying, like, the different covers that we just launched. I want them to collect them all. I want them to have fun with it too. Resell it, do whatever they want, enjoy it, read it.
I'm playing to have a good time.
I had this one retailer who I'm gonna rename, who is gonna be nameless. I haven't worked with him yet, but I had a long conversation with him, and he says, "I'm tired of doing books without content in them." And I'm like, we do content. Everything that we do is content. Some might suck, some might be great, but we have content in everything. And, we release 10 books a month, at least. And everything is done. Yeah. So some of them we're going to like pop out and make like super cool covers of and that type of stuff. But, I'm not going to go back and do, 10th New 7 was really good that one time. And I'm just going to redo that with a new cover. So it's just the way I'm working. So
no, I'm not going to tell anybody how to run their business. If somebody wants to just do one book and then just keep popping out covers, God bless you.
Yeah, and if it works, that works. But that's, as I said, I don't think that's helping the comic book industry. I think it's that's where I don't understand that world.
I mean, I have my own theories on how to solve the comic industry, where again, books need to become cheaper. A cover A needs to be $3 to $4 at the most,
Yeah,
but it probably needs to be $1, to be honest, in the supermarket. So I'll mention a name. Chuck Dixon explained it to me, where Chuck Dixon made an argument saying you need to have comics for $1, $1.50, maybe $2 in a supermarket at the checkout aisle. This way, and they need to be kid-friendly stories, because mommy takes Johnny to go shopping. She says to Johnny, you could pick out a comic book if you're good while we go shopping. And then Johnny reads the comic on the way home and leaves mommy alone. And then Johnny rereads it, and mommy could have a glass of wine.
Yeah, but Johnny doesn't want to read anymore because he has his iPad in front of him. And
I agree.
Walmart did do that. And the problem with it is magazines are dead and they're treated like magazines. We were sold in Barnes and Noble for such a long time, and nobody bought them. And the way that Barnes and Noble treated comic books, they just basically tore off the cover and sent it back to us. And they were just trash. Nobody buys magazines anymore. And that's how they are treated. You can't, Diamond or Lunar or anybody is not going to be able to get comic books into grocery stores. It has to go through a magazine distribution company. But
my point is that my point is that in order to do this, it's going to be complicated. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of logistics and operations. And I don't know this is, in order to make money, this is a 30-40 year play, because this isn't manga. And that's the problem, because in Japan, manga is treated dirt cheap. It's like $1.50, and it comes out every single week, and people just throw it away because it's not collectible. They just want to read the story.
Right.
And comics, on the other hand, in America are they're not treated that way. They used to be to some degree, but something shifted in culture with that. But I don't know what to beyond that. But I think the comic industry can learn a lot from manga.
Yeah, I think Marvel and DC need to advertise more. They need to advertise nationally rather than just with having TV shows. So they need to be the ones that step up and do stuff like that. Not, the independents just kind of fall down the pipeline. So.
And then there's a whole nother bunch of stuff problems with comic shops. But again, comic shops are also smart, where they buy a lot of Pop Funkos and they sell a lot of that because they need.
Right. But that's where I look at Comic Cons, and that's why I kind of retired from comic book conventions up until C2E2, which I will be at for the first time in 10 years, because I think comic book conventions, as much fun as it is to meet Power Rangers and become friends with Power Rangers, people don't care. One of the last conventions I went to, we had Ray Harryhausen with us, and people that don't know him, Clash of the Titans, Sinbad, Jason the Argonauts, all that type of stuff. He was 90 something at the time. We had him there. Nobody cared. We could have had William Shatner at a booth. Nobody would have cared. We had William Shatner at Golden Apple Comics. It did well, but at the conventions, nobody cares about comic books. So
that's because they care about anime voice actors.
They care, yeah, totally. Which it's pop culture con. It's not Comic Con. Don't confuse people by saying it's a comic convention when you just don't.
What is it? I mean, I don't know what C2E2 stands for, but what is it? Ohio had just Fan Expo, or Cleveland Fan Expo. It's not Cleveland Comic Con.
Right, and I think that's appropriate now. So yeah.
You have Awesome Con in DC. It's Awesome Con.
Yeah.
It's not Comic Con. It's a cool con, right? It's a fun, awesome con. No pun intended. Great name.
It's like San Diego Comic Con should give free entry and free booths to comic book companies, and not just Marvel and DC, and then charge Paramount and Warner Brothers and all the Legos and all that stuff. Charge them and let comic books thrive again. But once again, who knows? My little bubble's fun right now. So
I feel you. I'm having a good time in my little bubble. And
yeah.
guess what? My little bubble's getting bigger and I'm going to have a blast. And this is why I am not corporate, right? I will never be invited to these cons, these conferences, any of this shit. And I don't know if I want to be honest. The only benefit is that I might be able to get a bigger guest. But I don't even know if I want that, to be honest. Because right now I'm doing really well and I'm growing. And in the last year, I've grown and I've almost doubled my growth from this point from last year. And I kind of like being in my bubble. And if I just continue, I'll be really independent. And guess what? When you're really independent, your ideas formulate on your own. And nobody's telling me who, what, when, where, how I can interview people. And, I mean, I'll be honest, people did not like my Sean interview. And I was like, that's your problem. It's your problem.
Right.
People may or may not like this interview. Again, that's their problem. It's not my problem. I'm an interviewer. And then there's going to be 4 or 5 people that I'm going to be interviewing. There's actually 3 people I'm interviewing at the end of this week that people may or may not like. And I'm like, great. You don't have to like everything I do, but guess what? Because I'm independent, I get to do what I want to do.
That's like me. Yep. Be diverse and be independent.
So yes.
I now have to go for cocktail hour because there's people outside.
Yeah. I don't want to keep you any longer.
I appreciate this, and anytime, let's do it again.
But I do want to give you a chance. I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where can people find you, bother you, hit you up, all that fun stuff?
We're on social media, all over, Instagram. TikTok is the worst, but we're on TikTok. People can get our books, tidalwavepublishing.com. We have like these cool eBay exclusives. So we have an eBay store that has a lot of fun stuff. As I said, we just dropped this new Taylor Swift metal, and there's lots of other versions. There's one with her cats on it, which is actually coming today. And just social media and all our stores. So thank you.
And then everything that I got, because I'll quickly promote myself. I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter/X, Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on YouTube. Please subscribe. I appreciate all subscribers. And I have a lot of fun community stuff going on. Every day I have a poll for you to vote on. And I have quizzes coming. They're a lot of fun. There are no prizes, but you will be entertained or hopefully entertained. I am on TikTok, Pop Anime Comics, and I am also on eBay. And so I look for me on eBay, and I do actually have this book in pre-sale in the foil. So it's sold out. So if you want a copy of that, offer me $90 and I'll happily take it. As long as I say. So, and then I have the art only. I'm asking 80. If you offer me 80 or 75 to 80, I may or may not take it. And then I have some trade dresses that we can work something out on everybody if you want them. And I do have this book in metal in the Virgin version of Jamie Tyndall, which is super cool. So again, a lot of cool stuff is out there. And I got some other Taylor Swift stuff too. So I got Supergirl. I think I have some Shikari stuff that the Chiefs did. And you never know what's going to come to my store. So hopefully, So that's everything that I got. And I appreciate everybody watching. And thank you so much, everybody. And I think that is a wrap.